On to Europe now. Another copy of the Quran has been burnt there. First, it was Sweden. Now, it's Denmark. The incident happened on Monday. Two members of a far-right group gathered outside the Iraqi embassy in Copenhagen. They stomped the holy book. They placed it inside a tin foil tray, and then they set fire to it. This is the second incident in less than 4 days. The same group burnt the Quran on Friday as well. They live-streamed the whole thing on Facebook. Back then, Muslim nations were outraged, especially Iraq, because their embassy was involved. Thousands of Iraqis hit the streets of Baghdad. They protested outside the Danish embassy. But it made no difference. Within 2 days, there has been a repeat. Another Quran has been burnt, which makes you wonder, is this the new normal in Europe? We saw 2 Quran burning incidents in Sweden and now another 2 in Denmark. Why have authorities not cracked down yet? Why are such protests still being permitted? Sweden says they're defending freedom of expression. But what exactly are these people expressing? From the looks of it, Islamophobia. Both governments are guilty of tacit support. You know something is wrong. You know you can stop it, but you're choosing not to. Just look at Sweden. They permitted Quran burnings on 2 occasions. Both times the same man was involved. And what action has the Swedish police taken against him? They filed preliminary hate crime charges against him. Do you see how absurd that is? First, you give permission to burn the Quran, and afterwards, you file hate crime charges. It makes no sense whatsoever. Why not deny permission in the first place? In both countries, the governments have criticized the Quran burning. They say it doesn't reflect their position. Why then does it keep happening? It's easy to dismiss these stunts, to say that the fringe is doing what the fringe does. But when the government does not do anything to stop them, it is not the fringe, is it? You're mainstreaming them. Sweden and Denmark may not realize this now, but such policies will affect their ties with the Islamic world. In fact, it's already happening. Iraq has expelled the Swedish ambassador. They're calling the Danish incident a case of extremism. Turkey has called it despicable and vile. Algeria has summoned envoys from Denmark and Sweden. Iran and Saudi Arabia have condemned the incident. Qatar is going a step ahead. The country's biggest market will no longer sell Swedish products. So the outrage is growing. But what explains this dangerous trend of burning the Quran? Why in Sweden and Denmark? Do they have a large Muslim population? Well, not particularly. Around 5% of Denmark's population is Muslim, around 8% in Sweden. And this is the European average, close to the European average. Germany is at 6%. France is much higher at 10%. So numbers don't seem to be the problem. Then what is it? Well, sentiments. Migration and demography have been weaponized by Europe's far right. In simple words, they fearmonger. They say Europe will become a Muslim continent, or migrants will plot terrorist attacks. And this fear has given them political power. Last year, Sweden voted for a right-wing government, their first ever. Denmark still has a left-leaning government, but their majority is razor-thin. It's the same story across Europe. Right-wing parties have used migration and demographics to win seats. Their leaders drop occasional dog whistles. But the far right goes beyond that. They don't use dog whistles, they use a big Islamophobic trumpet. And that's one part of the problem. The second part is the legal framework. Western commentators say they do not have blasphemy laws. No laws, so no punishment. But that argument doesn't really work here. 79 countries in the world have specific blasphemy laws. Are the rest burning Qurans every day? I don't think so. These incidents are not about blasphemy. It's about hate crimes. It's about Islamophobia. But will Sweden and Denmark accept that? Their laws are built for homogeneous societies, basically white Christians. They don't account for religious or racial diversity, and that is a problem, because what is offensive to one religion could be sacred to another. Europe must realize this. They keep lecturing the world about minorities, how they should be protected, how their rights and culture must be promoted. But at home, it's the exact opposite. People are burning the holy book of your minority group, and what is your response? You say it's freedom of expression. Take a look at this website. It's run by the Council of Europe. It shows a framework on protecting national minorities. This law was introduced in 1998. So this year, 2023, is the 25th anniversary. Maybe it's time for a re-evaluation because Europe's minorities are scared. They feel insulted and abused. Europe's one-size-fits-all approach is clearly not working. It's alienating their own Muslim citizens. It's also turning Muslim countries against them.